with that. And you know, Spider-Man is Spider-Man. I think I could probably honestly say that Spider-Man was, I think, the first movie video game that actually went, that is cool, that is a really good game. So
I was just going to say, just the comment you had before in regards to getting early in with the movie producers. I mean, I straddle both worlds, so I deal with both entities. Do you think that it changed your perception of what your expected figures would be if you knew that the developer was working hand in hand with the movie producer? Like, your quality would go up, you'd have longer time frames, you could then market hand in hand, you could then develop spin-offs of, say, iPhone apps or whatever to actually market that together.
I would say 100% yes. We just don't want to be throwing something at the last minute and try and put a game together in 18 months. If we know that a whole package is coming to us, that, you know, this is a movie, here's the developer that's working on it, this is what we can do and work within it, from a business perspective, that makes a lot more sense to us.
Do you have an example of where that's actually happened though?
Where there's, and I will bring up the fact we're working with a company called Ilian Studios, who Ilian are doing a movie called Planet 51 that's coming out at Christmas time. And Ilian, based in Madrid, they were formed, or are, Pyro Studios. Pyro Studios did Commandos. So the guys from Pyro years ago decided that they would get into animation. 7 years ago they decided, and they've been working on this project for 7 years, the movie for 7 years, building their tech, doing everything. And yeah, so Ilian Studios is the movie side. Pyro, which operate 2 floors down in the same building, are doing the game for us, and we're launching the game at Christmas, for Christmas this year. And that's a great example of what is happening now. And what is going to mean is that the competition in movie games is actually going to start to get more intense, because those types of models are coming about all the time. So yeah, that's an example that will happen this Christmas. And Pyro Commandos, great product, great studio, they've got a great history. We know they'll do a great game. And all they do is when they need an asset, they go up 2 floors, they get it, downsize the resolution, put it into the game. There you go. Not a bad solution. Okay, briefly touched on before, and we're getting up to lunch. Format is a critical situation, and especially now. Again, we're talking about the demographics for the different formats and where the console is in its life cycle. Movie games at the moment are not doing as well because the PlayStation 3 and the 360 just haven't hit that, what I'd call a mass market sort of, you know, stage to be able to make movie games work to the level that we need them to do profitably. In 2 years' time, with the PlayStation 3 at $299 and it's in 2 million households, hey, we've got a situation where we can sell to that mass market. The other thing is that in the early life cycle of a product, of a format, people are very, very picky. They're not going to buy a product unless it's going to rate 80, 85 and be something that you really want to play, that you really want to enjoy. You know, they are the gamers, and they probably are a little bit sceptical of movie tie-ins. So that's one thing to look at. The other thing that's facing all of us is that we now have viable consoles, 5 viable consoles, and each one of them is different. And each person who buys it thinks that you should be making a game specifically for their console and their features. So when you're building a Nintendo Wii product, if you can't waggle the thing around, and unless you can play party games with 400 people, they ain't going to buy it. But how do you do that and satisfy that market while trying to get the PS3 guy who wants to play online by themselves in multiple situations? So we now have a situation where we've got, you know, the product, the game, needs to be split up 5 different ways to handle the 5 different people in the 5 different ways they want to play the game. That is becoming exceptionally difficult. As I've spoken about, probably just quickly, the Sony platform has been the dominant driver of success of movie games. That and the DS, or Game Boy Advance, or Game Boy Color. As I said, when you put together sales of those 2 formats, it is 50% of most of those sales that will happen within the Australian marketplace. Again, the quality of the game for each format, again, gets back into what can be done and what's there. So what do I see happening in the future? Well, as I've spoken about, movie studios and game companies as one. And as I said, the example, Planet 51. is really it. You know, you've got the same studio making the movie and the game. So that's, you know, they're involved integrally from day one in game design. Actually, the director of the movie was the director of Commandos. So he's actually making sure the game is very, very cool. You actually have movie studios and game companies collaborating from day one. You know, I know Peter Jackson worked really, really hard with the Ubisoft guys on the first, on King Kong. And, you know, James Cameron has been, you know, with Avatar, has been working hand in hand with the Ubisoft guys from day one. I think that was as part of the Peter Jackson sort of, you know, scenario that they have. So those guys have been in there working at that level from day one. The other thing you have, and similar to Ilion, you have games companies doing movies. Ubisoft announced probably around about 2 years ago that they thought their animation studio was at a stage that they could start doing short movies, and I know their Montreal studio is working exceptionally hard on different bits and pieces that can happen. So that's public information, and I know Yves Guillemot and the team, they have a very big idea on what they want to do in the movie and game business. So you've got, you know, from the movie guys, you've got games publishers coming into your space because the games technology is very similar to the movie technology now. And then the other thing you have, which is something that's really come about, and I think some good opportunities could sit, is studios doing their own online using XBLA, PSN, WiiWare, Steam, or iTunes. Just the last week, Paramount announced that they were doing a range of XBLA and PSN products that they will go direct to market, and they won't have a retail product for a lot of their products. They will just go down an online route. Now, a lot of people in here have been working on these formats, have been working on these sort of, you know, download models. I think this is definitely an opportunity to work with the movie companies. They're still going to need expertise in games. They can't just do games themselves. They're still going to need people to do it. But it also allows a little bit more of a low-cost model for the movie guys. You don't have to go out and spend $6–7 million, then charge this because you've got retail and you've got packaging and you've got marketing and you've got distribution and you've got retailer rebates and you've got end-of-year rebates and you've got to pay for the stand at the front and da-da-da-da-da. You can actually just put it on XBLA PSN and you can actually go directly to that market. Bite size, a little bit more, you know, consumer friendly as far as price points go. Test the water. If it works well, you then got the model down the track to see what you can do. That, I think, is one that will increasingly happen in this space. Because also the other thing is there isn't a lot of retail space either. Retail's shrinking all the time, and, you know, movie games may get forced out, forced online. So in summary, seeing as lunchtime, what I need really people to ask is, can the movie content support a video game? You've really got to ask yourself, honestly, is that the case? Can I make an appropriate game on time with the right quality? And I mean that with budget, within that budget, you know, cost should go into that one as well. Can I make the game for the right format? Is my game right for the current life cycle of that format? So you really need to make those decisions. You know, is a current PS3 product for Christmas this year the right format for a movie product? It's going to be difficult. You need to know where that market's at. So, would you now make Titanic the video game?
Short answer, yes.
I did the Lost video games, and it hit about 12 months too late, but the numbers weren't exceptional, and I think it was PC, if I remember correctly, it was PC only as well, if I remember. But that was product at a point in time when it was signed, was huge, but then didn't work. What was more successful was the CSI products, because CSI is actually a bigger brand, and we're able to click off CSI, Miami as well as the original that we did as well. So CSI as a brand did exceptionally well for a TV series on video games. So, yep.
Question for advertisers. There's a lot of product placement going on in cinema these days, and that's I guess a growing area for brands to get into this sort of content. Do you see something being possible in that?
as in sort of
placement. If there's